Have you ever noticed something frustrating? Someone says one thing, does one small thing, and suddenly your entire day is ruined. Your peace is gone. Your focus is shattered. And you spend hours replaying what they said, what you should have said, how you should have reacted. Meanwhile, that person has already forgotten about it and moved on with their life. But you're still carrying it. Still angry, still bothered, and here's the brutal truth. They're not stealing your peace, you're giving it to them. The Stoics discovered something powerful 2,000 years ago. Anger isn't caused by what people do to you. It's caused by how much power you give them over your inner world. Today, I'm going to share 6 Stoic habits that make you emotionally untouchable. Not cold, not numb, just unshakable. And stay with me, because habit number 4 is the one most people resist the most, but it's also the one that changes everything. Once you apply it, you'll never hand your peace to someone else again. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Anger feels justified. It feels like the right response when someone disrespects you, interrupts you, dismisses you. But justified anger is still poison. It still ruins your day. It still hands control of your emotions to someone who probably doesn't even care. These 6 habits aren't about suppressing your feelings. They're about protecting your power. Because every time you let someone make you angry, you've just proven that they control you. And the Stoics refuse to be controlled. Failing to master these habits risks something most people don't realize until it's too late. You'll spend your life reacting to every slight, every comment, every perceived insult. You'll wake up exhausted because you're constantly fighting battles that don't matter. And worst of all, you'll teach the world that your peace is cheap, that anyone can take it with just a few words or a careless action. But the Stoics knew different. They knew that the person who can't be provoked is the person who can't be defeated. And that power starts with these 6 habits. Habit 1. Pause before you respond. Most people react instantly. Someone says something offensive, and within seconds, they're defending, attacking, explaining. But that instant reaction is where you lose, because in that moment, you're not thinking. You're just reacting. And reactions are predictable. Reactions are controllable. The Stoics practice something radical. The pause. When someone provokes you, you stop. You breathe. You create space between what happened and how you respond. And in that space, you reclaim your power, because now you're choosing your response instead of being controlled by your emotions. Example, someone insults you in a meeting. Everyone's watching. Your instinct is to fire back immediately, to defend yourself, to show them they can't talk to you like that. But instead, you pause, you take a breath, you let the words sit there, and then you respond calmly, or you don't respond at all. Because you just proved something important. They don't control you. And here's what's powerful. That pause makes them uncomfortable, because they expected a reaction. They wanted a fight. And your calm refusal to give it to them is more powerful than any comeback you could have delivered. Habit 2. Separate the action from the person. Most anger comes from personalization. You think they did it to hurt you. They disrespected you on purpose. They're trying to make you feel small. But the Stoics taught something liberating. Most people aren't thinking about you at all. They're dealing with their own stress, their own pain, their own chaos. And sometimes that chaos splashes onto you. But it's not about you. When you separate the action from the person, anger loses its grip. Because now you're not taking it personally, you're seeing it for what it is. Someone else's issue that temporarily crossed your path. Example, a coworker snaps at you for no reason. Your first thought is, what did I do wrong? Why are they attacking me? But then you pause. You remember they just came from a difficult meeting. Their stress isn't about you, it's about them. So instead of snapping back, you stay calm. You don't absorb their chaos, you let it pass. And in doing so, you protect your peace, because their bad day doesn't have to become yours. The Stoics understood this deeply. People act from their own perceptions, their own fears, their own limited understanding, and most of the time, what feels like an attack is just someone else struggling. When you see that, anger becomes unnecessary. Stay with me, because the next habit is where most people completely fail. They think ignoring the problem is weakness, but the Stoics knew something different. Sometimes the strongest response is no response at all. Habit 3. Choose your battles wisely. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every disrespect requires confrontation. Most people think if they don't fight back every single time, they're weak. They're letting people walk all over them. But the Stoics saw it differently. Fighting every battle is exhausting, and most battles don't matter. When you respond to every provocation, you're not being strong, you're being controlled, because now your time, your energy, your peace are being dictated by whoever decides to push your buttons. The Stoic habit is simple. Ask yourself, does this matter? Will this matter tomorrow, next week, next year? And if the answer is no, let it go. Not because you're weak, because your peace is worth more than proving a point. Example, someone makes a passive-aggressive comment about you. You feel the anger rising. You want to call them out to make sure they know you won't tolerate it, but then you stop. You ask yourself, does this actually affect my life? And the answer is no. It's just words. So you let it go. Not because you're afraid, because you're choosing not to waste your power on something that doesn't deserve it. And here's the paradox. The less you react, the less people try to provoke you, because they realize it doesn't work. You're not playing the game anymore, and that makes you untouchable. If you find these insights helpful, consider subscribing to the channel. It's a small click, but a meaningful way to support me as I continue this journey and walk alongside you toward a better life, one day at a time. Habit 4. Reframe anger as information. This is the habit most people resist because it requires you to do something uncomfortable. It requires you to look at your anger and ask, what is this really about? Most people think anger just happens. Someone does something and you get angry. But the Stoics knew better. Anger is a signal. It's showing you where you're attached, where you're vulnerable, where you're giving your power away. When you reframe anger as information, it stops controlling you, because now you're studying it instead of obeying it. Example, someone dismisses your idea in a meeting and you feel furious. Most people would blame the other person. They're rude, they're disrespectful, they're the problem. But the Stoic asks a different question. Why does this bother me so much? And when you dig deeper, you realize it's not really about them. It's about your need for validation, your fear of not being respected, your attachment to being right. And that's powerful information, because now you can work on that. You can build true confidence that doesn't need external approval. And the next time someone dismisses you, it won't hurt, because you're no longer dependent on their opinion. The Stoics practiced this constantly. Every time they felt anger, they treated it as a teacher. What is this showing me about myself? Where am I still weak? And by doing that, they turned every provocation into an opportunity to grow stronger. Habit 5. Focus on what you control. This is the core of Stoic philosophy and the habit that makes all the others possible. You cannot control what people say. You cannot control what they do. You cannot control whether they respect you, like you, or treat you fairly. But you can control your response. You can control your thoughts. You can control where you place your attention. Most people waste their energy trying to control things they can't control. They replay the argument trying to change what happened. They imagine what they should have said. They obsess over why that person treated them that way, but all of that is outside your control. And focusing on it only drains you. The Stoic habit is to redirect. The moment you notice yourself obsessing over what someone did, you stop. You bring your focus back to what you can actually control. Your actions, your mindset, your next move. Example, someone spread a rumor about you at work. You're furious. You want to confront them, defend yourself, make sure everyone knows the truth. But you stop. You ask yourself, what can I actually control here? You can't control what they said. You can't control who believes it, but you can control how you show up every day. You can control your character. You can control your work. So you focus on that. You let your actions speak louder than any defense. And eventually the truth becomes obvious without you having to fight for it. This is Stoic power. Not controlling others, controlling yourself. And when you do that consistently, anger loses its grip because you're no longer wasting energy on things you can't change. Habit 6. Practice. Voluntary discomfort. This habit seems unrelated to anger at first, but it's the foundation that makes everything else work. The Stoics believe that comfort makes you weak, and weakness makes you reactive. When you're used to everything going your way, any disruption feels like a crisis. Any disrespect feels unbearable. But when you regularly practice discomfort, you build resilience, and resilience makes you unbothered. Seneca used to practice poverty for a few days each month. He would eat simple food, wear old clothes, sleep on the floor, not because he had to, because it reminded him that he could handle it, that comfort wasn't necessary, that he was stronger than his circumstances. You can do the same. Take cold showers, skip a meal, sit with boredom instead of reaching for your phone. Do hard things that make you uncomfortable. And when you do this regularly, something shifts. The small annoyances that used to ruin your day suddenly don't matter because you've proven to yourself that you can handle much worse. Example, someone cuts you off in traffic. Normally, you'd be furious. You'd honk. You'd curse. You'd let it ruin the next 20 minutes. But because you've been practicing discomfort, because you've trained yourself to handle worse, this barely registers. You let it go. Not because you're suppressing it, because it genuinely doesn't bother you anymore. You've built a tolerance for frustration, and that tolerance is what makes you unshakable. These 6 habits work because they all point to the same Stoic truth. Your peace is your responsibility, not your right. Your responsibility. No one can take it from you. You can only give it away. And these habits teach you to stop giving it away. Here's the paradox. The less you need people to act a certain way, the more power you have. The less you need respect, the more you command it. The less you need peace from external conditions, the more peace you experience, because you've stopped depending on a world you can't control and started mastering the one thing you can, yourself. Choose one habit this week, just one. Practice it daily, not to become emotionless, but to become emotionally sovereign. Because the strongest people aren't the ones who never get angry. They're the ones who've learned that anger is optional. That being bothered is a choice, and they've chosen differently. That is Stoic mastery, and that is what we build here on Stoic Journal. If this helped you, subscribe to Stoic Journal so you keep building unshakable inner strength one habit at a time. Now comment below, which habit will you practice first? Pause before responding. Separate action from person. Choose your battles. Reframe anger as information. Focus on what you control. Or practice voluntary discomfort. Pick one. Master it. And watch how the world stops being able to disturb your peace.